Cool. Thanks a bunch, everybody, for attending. My name is Dan Cronin. I'm an assistant professor of landscape architecture at the University of Idaho. I'm also a researcher for the Center for Resilient Communities. I apologize in advance. I broke the rule. I have 4 slides, but the two main slides are the content in the center, right? So it's kind of the middle piece there. First, I'd like to take the time to acknowledge that the University of Idaho is located on the homelands of the Nimipu, also referred to as the Nez Perce. We extend gratitude to the indigenous people that call this place home since time immemorial. Thanks for attending, everyone. As an overview of the MFuse project, we used a geo-design framework and process to develop scenarios and alternative futures for Magic Valley, Idaho, in southern Idaho, west of Boise. This framework intends to align stakeholder assumptions coupled with researcher models about fuse networks over a 30-year time horizon. Within the project, we looked at various forms of representations, images, and later we asked stakeholders what images and representations were the most compelling. So we use tools and representations to depict our research models for climate, hydrologic, and then also land use and land cover changes and drivers of change per each scenario. We then created 3D depictions of each scenario at the landscape scale and at the site scale to corroborate stakeholder understandings about the place with the researcher-driven models. Lastly, we used a survey instrument with the stakeholders, and stakeholders mentioned that these solution representations on the right side of the slide here were the most compelling. And a few of the stakeholders mentioned this was due to the fact that we iteratively operationalized their feedback and incorporated what they were saying for various meetings iteratively. So this was a representation to depict their understandings of the biophysical drivers and the social drivers of change. So we did this in all of the components of the process. However, the stakeholders responded to this one, in my opinion, because they felt that it was the most obvious. Lastly, for the slide, there's a link to Dr. Jamie Trammell and I's presentation from the 2020 Geodesign Conference, which was the last in-person conference ever. Let's see, so let's talk about this one a little bit. Then COVID hit, of course, right? And we had to go virtual, right? We couldn't have in-person meetings. So now we're adapting and becoming more nimble, or trying to be for me personally, about how we integrate stakeholder feedback into our scenario modeling process. So in the MFuse project, for example, we developed a weighted raster overlays early in the game and used them to locate suitable areas for various social and biophysical changes, such as urban growth and locations for efficient agricultural practices, things such as this. We measured the scenario outputs with a tool from Esri called GeoPlanner and with a key performance indicator. This helped with our second draft of the scenarios, and it really set us up to be able to essentially tool up before or to be ready whenever COVID started. You know, all the effects or externalities of COVID started to occur, to work towards a virtual or online platform. So we use these weighted raster overlays throughout the process. And then I see this as a way to, sort of like with the previous diagram, to engage stakeholder understandings of various values of what we see as changes that we can arrive upon. And it's a tool that they can use to get to these understandings geospatially, to answer the where question. Let's see, I'm going to jump ahead real quick. And then lastly, I'd like to thank all the research network for the Center of Resilient Communities at the University of Idaho, and then at Southern Oregon University, and then also the University of New Hampshire. It takes a village, but it's better and a lot more fun with the community. So thanks, everybody. And there's some links to our atlas up here as well, if anybody's interested to look at some of the work that we've been producing in terms of reporting on the representations, but also the scenario development process.
Okay, so we have about 45 seconds for questions. If anybody has a question.
Dan, this is Meghna. Quickly, what was the image that the stakeholders were really able to relate to? What kind of visualization could you? Sorry, I was just wondering. Like,
Let's see, I'm gonna go back to it real quick. Do you see in the
yes,
the bottom right here? It was this.
yes.
So this was kind of a timeline or a linear diagram that showcased. Let me see if I can zoom in. Sorry for all the moving around and all that fun stuff, but
We can, you and I can also meet separately. I mean, I don't want to take the time of everybody, but I just wanted to see like how the drivers were coming into that image.
So we had one of these for each of the scenarios, and they were primarily, you can see kind of the bottom here, which was showing water availability and the fluxes and impacts is there, and then also population growth as a trend.
Sorry.
Oh,
I have to stop you.